LCSC students of medieval history, welcome to the final surge. I'm going to try to limit this video to about 20 minutes. That seems to be the magical number for people to watch. But the back of my mind says it might be a little bit longer just to make sure that we're all squared away on what to do from this point forward. It's all interconnected, and I'm not sure that it makes sense for me to make a video every week saying this is what you do, this is what you do. So, let's just get to it, huh? 4 weeks left. We're back from spring break. Y'all put together your formal essays. Or your formal essay outlines. I haven't taken a look at them yet, but congratulations. You got some structure down. I hope you learned something from it. The point is to use it as momentum. I'll take a look at it. I'll probably not make in a lot of comments about it beyond nice detail. This looks good. It seems very blank. You might need to spend some time doing this, that kind of thing, right? This week, the beginning the 7th, you guys have a research outline to put together, a presentation outline. I'll talk about that in a minute, and a presentation to shoot, to put online, and we'll have online discussions. I'm going to come back to that. I'm just going to give you the overview here. Week 13, the presentations are posted. We talk about them. Week 14, we'll come up with some kind of peer review, but it's writing. Week 15, you turn it in, and the party's over. Let's start with week 15. Your formal essay. We've already talked about this kind of thing. Okay, you guys, you've got your outlines squared away for the final essay. Like I said, I haven't graded your formal essays or your outlines yet, but I assume they're focused on this. You've got a thesis, you're starting to get mileage, you've got your outside sources, okay, and you're demonstrating that you've been putting some work into this on your own, not only reading the stuff I've assigned, but reading the stuff you're supposed to be reading, right? Okay. See if I can do this with some degree of smoothness. Your research presentations are due by the end of the day this coming Tuesday. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. It's just sketching out your presentation, right? Laying out the kind of slides you're going to use, laying out sort of what you're going to talk about, how you're going to do it, getting it, squared away. It's an outline, okay? Let's talk about the research in progress presentations. There we go. All right. And I'm going to just kind of talk about this for a second, because the guidelines were designed for a class very similar to this, but not exactly like this. So I want to talk about it for just a second. The whole point of the presentation, and it'll be a 10-minute presentation, it'll be exactly 10 minutes, okay, is for you to present what you've figured out so far about your topic and to demonstrate that you've been doing some level of work. So, for those of y'all who may have kind of procrastinated up to this point, yeah, the whole point of this is to put some heat on you to get to work. For those of y'all who've been on top of it, it's to give you an opportunity to connect the dots and come up with a little bit more of a thoughtful essay, right? So it's a chance for you to discuss the scholarship, your sources, what you've been reading about, what you've been thinking about, what you've learned. And and here's the deal, sometimes research in progress presentations stress people out because they're like, well, I haven't finished it yet. I don't really know what kind of conclusions to present. That's fine. Present some preliminary conclusions. But what the research in progress presentation style does is it it presents you an opportunity to advance the structure for your formal essay. Now you can start thinking about, okay, this is going to be the sections of the things, right? Now, keep in mind, you're not necessarily presenting your whole essay, right? You might just be presenting a section of it, and this is what you want to go into and talk about, and then you can mention there's this other thing that you want to do. 10 minutes. I know, a little delay there. This is just like if it was in class, right? Presentations, 10 minutes. I want them pre-recorded, and I've got a variety of kind of funky deadlines. I'm going to explain the intention behind the deadlines in just a second, okay? But I want them to be pre-recorded and posted. I think it's like 3 days before people are supposed to talk about them. So let's stop here and come back to it, okay? All right, let's talk about the deadline for posting your actual presentation, and then I'll go back to the presentation. In order to post your presentation, or the deadline for the presentation, is Thursday, April 10th at midnight. Now, hold tight on that. All right. So, that's this day right here. Have your presentation shot, downloaded, squared away. And the reason that I would like for them to be set up by the end of the day on Thursday is because that gives me Friday a chance to kind of process them and get them organized and set up so that people can look at them. And then it gives the class the weekend to take a look at them and start the conversation about them, because it's not necessarily realistic for everyone that, let's say, presentations are due by the end of the day on Sunday, right? So you'd have the whole weekend to do them. But you're supposed to watch them all by Tuesday, all right? Now listen, I don't want to cause a whole bunch of confusion, but the download of the presentation date is set up for April the 10th, 11:59 p.m. That's your target. I suspect a couple of you, especially those of you with full-time jobs, may have an issue with that. Send me an email and we'll make something work, okay? But let's do our best to get that presentation up by the end of the day on April 10th. That gives me a chance to set it up for Friday and gives you guys a chance to take a look at it over next weekend. Now, you're going to record these on your own, post them on YouTube, and provide me a link. Let me show you how to do that. All you're going to do is kick on the modules, drop down to the bottom. Yours doesn't look like this. I'm going to do it the way mine looks like. I got some other stuff here. You're going to drop down to modules, formal essay research presentations, research presentation URLs. This is where you link your presentation, okay? You click on that. Gave you an example. Should be all squared away for students or faculty to edit. You write your name, comma, title, and give me a URL. Do not forget to go down here to the bottom that you can't see because my picture's here, and hit save. Everybody will do that by Thursday night, the 10th. And then what I'll do on the 11th is I will go through, see who's, done what. Where are we at? And put everything right here under student presentations. Okay? You guys with me? I'm assuming by this point in time, you guys are better at this than I am. I got a 17-year-old at home. She doesn't need directions on how to make a YouTube presentation. So you guys do whatever system you know so that you can come up with the PowerPoint or a Google slide or whatever it is that you use presentation. For those of y'all who might not know anything, again, back into the presentation component. Zoom presentation recording instructions. This tells you how to do it if what you have is Zoom and PowerPoint. But like I said, you guys, using Google Slides, using something else, I assume we all know how to do this. If you don't know how to do this, contact me, contact someone around you. It's pretty easy, okay? So 10 slides. I don't want more than 10 slides. I don't want more than 10 slides. Okay? And the way this is set up down here, it doesn't even give you 10 slides, but we'll give you 10 slides. I want an intro slide with a thesis statement. I want a final slide with some preliminary conclusions. And I want, some more slides. The presentation pros will tell you that one slide every 60 seconds is what to do. You're not a pro. Learn how to work with less. I also don't need you to read me your slides, right? So your slides should be visually interesting. There should be maps, there should be images, there should be statistics, there should be things that give us something to think about while you're talking about it. We don't need a bunch of bullet points that you are reading off to us. I'm going to come back to that in a second. A few things you're going to want to address. You're going to want to address what's your paper about, what's the thesis. You're going to want to talk about your sources and how different historians have differed in their approach to the topic. That's not the same as talking about your topic, right? And you're going to want to talk about your topic too, the Mongols did this or the Mongols did that, but you're also going to want to talk about David Morgan says the Mongols did this, and this other historian says it really didn't happen like that. And that's some interesting stuff too, right? So that gives you a chance to address how the historical interpretation of your topic has changed over time. Some of you will have more emphasis on this, some of you will have less, depending on which question you picked and kind of how you're approaching the whole topic. I expect to see some geography, I expect to see some maps. I definitely expect to see dates, chronology. I haven't asked you to memorize any dates in this class. I'm not going to. But I expect to see it in your papers. It's about change through time. History is about change through time, so work with it. Introduce the sources you've focused on. Talk about the books you've been reading and like how they have connected with the other things that you've read. Some of the major points of your arguments, some of your preliminary conclusions. You get the idea. All right, written materials. I want to see, this is set up for a different class, okay? But I do want to see that your presentation is based on something. So by the time you give your presentation, let's work on our presentations, but that presentation outline, I want it to be filled out. You should be starting to draft things. Don't get too worried about this written material part. Like I said, this was set up for a slightly different operation. but you should be putting words on the page. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about words on the page. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about PowerPoint presentations. This is what I suggest you do for your PowerPoint presentations. Don't submit a 20-minute one. I had somebody do that one time. I don't want to watch a 20-minute one. Nobody wants to watch a 20-minute one. I don't want to watch a 2-minute one. 10 minutes. 9 minutes and 30 seconds, fine. Okay? But here's what you want to do. You want to lay out your presentation structure. Get your slides set up. And you want to practice it. Five, 6, 7 times. You want to practice it. And then, when you feel you're ready, you want to sit down and you want to run through it in one shoot. One shot, one shoot, whatever it is. It's the only way any of these videos get made for you. Because if I stopped and redid it every time I thought, oh man, I sounded stupid there, or I'm not sure that really came across the way I wanted it to, I would never get them done. Sometimes you just kind of have to power through it and move on to the next thing. I really suggest you guys work on that part of it. Practice it. Practice it, practice it, just like if it was going to have to be given it live in front of a classroom. Practice it, and then come shoot it, declare victory. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried about what's behind you. Well, what's behind you will be I'm not worried about what's behind you. Worried about you walking us through your paper, showing us what you're thinking about, how you're going to do it. For those of y'all who haven't discovered them yet, there are 4 killer presentation examples already up in that section at the bottom of the modules. Take a look through them. This will show you exactly what I'm looking for. All 4 of these are really nice. And a couple of them might give you some ideas about what you want to do for medieval history. Usually, I don't use the examples from the class. I should have these from the ancient history class or the African history class, but whatever, here they are. Take a look. Okay. So, once you've posted your links, I'll cut and paste them into the week 13 section. And then what you'll notice is this assignment at the bottom of each day. We'll see how this works, but this is what I want. Cade and Jasper and April and Anthony and Jackson and Barbara, they're going to be busy setting up, putting up their presentation. They get it up. And then what I would like is Andrew, Tyler, Marcy, Dallas, and Maureen to engage in a little Q&A. Now, it doesn't mean that those of y'all from up here can't engage in some Q&A. You should. But we're laying it out that it's required if you're not presenting. So you just click on this thing. And you'll notice I haven't got it all figured out yet. There'll be a title here. But I've got a thing set up for April, a thing set up for Cade. I don't know how else to do this, so this is how I did it, right? So that, essentially, there'll be a, you want to ask Jasper a question, you'll reply, hey, Jasper, what did you think of such and such a book, blah, blah, blah. Throw him a softball, let him show off his knowledge. Okay, I want everyone to have a few questions here. I do not have some sort of, you have to ask 2 questions of 75 words each or whatever, right? I want you to convince me that you watched everybody's videos. If we were doing this live in class, it'd be a 10-minute presentation, 10 minutes of Q&A. Okay, the Q&A can be easy, the Q&A can be hard. The Q&A should be fun, right? Should be ways to advance your paper. So, if you're not presenting, or at least in that round of presentations, please illustrate that you actually watch the videos by asking a few thoughtful questions about it. And then once we've done our presentations, it's writing. Writing and writing. I don't know if week 14 will really be like this. It says that we're not doing anything Tuesday except for writing, and then Thursday some kind of peer review. Maybe. I'm going to think that through a little bit, but the whole point is that you should be prepared by the 22nd, that's this Tuesday, to have a full draft ready. And then we'll start tinkering with it and start polishing it and start making it good, because week 15 you'll make your adjustments, you'll turn it in, and that'll be the end of the party. So we'll come up with some kind of peer review that's a little bit like these discussion boards, where essentially folks will have their own, though you guys will probably like post something up in here and then people can make comments on them. But really, after the presentations, you guys are writing, you're getting it all together. Okay. I realize that all right, whatever. I realize that things are coming up quick. It is my sense that most of y'all understand exactly what's up, because when I have asked for questions, I haven't gotten a whole lot. And when there's a couple of y'all that email me, or come to my office hours, every week or every other week, and y'all seem to be on top of things. So in this particular case, I'm not so worried that there hasn't been a lot of communication. I think that you guys know what's up. If I'm wrong, you guys don't freak out about anything. Send me an email. Hey, or show up to office hours. Hey, I've got these issues with the presentation dates. Can we talk about it? Hey, I didn't really think as much about the formal essay as I thought I did. We'll find out in a few minutes once I start grading them right. But I'm under the impression all is well. It's time for the final surge. Take that deep breath. Get ready to finish off your papers. And good luck. Let me know if you need anything.